I am Professor Ravinder Kaur, Department of Public Administration, Osmania University. Now, having discussed the different types of communication, friends, let us go on to the other important aspect, that is the process of communication. The simple process of communication would be where you have the sender, you have the message and the receiver. In the introduction itself, I've mentioned about the sender, receiver and the message. Now in the process also we can say that we have one sender who sends the messages and another who receives the messages. But to still go deeper into this process of communication, we would say that there are two important players. One is the sender, the second is the receiver. Before the communication is sent, the sender has to think. The thought process begins, and with that, we call it as ideation. Ideas are only raw, they are in the minds of the individual. Then he has to encode it. So ideation will be the first step, encoding will be the second step. This is with regard to the sender. Once he has encoded it, encoding here would be in a written form, would be either through symbols or it can also be through numericals. In defense organizations, for example, we can say that the communication is sent in a different manner. It can be using numericals, it can be using alphabets, or it can be in a written form. So, sender is one important person. Ideation, ideas take place in his mind. Encoding is done. After he has put it on paper, then comes the transmission. How is he going to send the communication? Whether it is verbal, whether it is in a written form. So the mode of transmission, he can also convey it telephonically, he can send it by speed post, or he can send it through email, which is the most important mode of communication. Once he has sent it, the receiver's job, receiver has to receive the communication. Now, when he receives the communication, he has to understand what the sender wanted to convey to him. So for that, decoding is necessary. So response of the receiver is to decode the communication. Later on that basis, he will have to act. So action is another important aspect. Now, after decoding, he acts, or if he finds any problem, again he has to, the process we'll say ideation, encoding, transmission, and he has to give a feedback to the sender. So communication is a continuous process within the organization. So it begins with the sender. Transmission is the second important aspect. You have the receiver again trying to convey his ideas, opinions and transmit it to the sender. So in this way it becomes a vicious circle. The next important aspect, now in the process of communication is complete. The next important aspect would be communication network. Communication network is a pattern of interconnected lines through which messages might flow in one direction or in several directions. As a pattern of contacts among the organizations, communication network contains several channels. These channels determine the rapidity, the accuracy, and the smoothness with which the messages flow in and outside the organization. There are two types of communication networks again. One is formal and second is informal. The formal communication network may be in a circular form, it may be a chain network, or it can be a wheel or star network. The circle network represents three-level hierarchy in which communication is between the superiors, the subordinates, and it can also be cross communication at the operative level. The second type is the chain network. Under this network, the message flows in a direct vertical line, that is, it is in a scalar form, or we say the scalar chain of authority. All the subordinates receive the orders or receive communication from the top level in the hierarchy. So this chain of command is another important aspect of communication network. The third type is the wheel or star network. In this, we have one center point of communication, and communication flows to different parts of the organization, or we can say communication flows from the central point to different subordinates in the organization. The next type of communication is the Y type of communication. In the Y type of communication, we have two subordinates who are reporting to a superior officer. This type of network is less centralized when compared to the wheel or the star network. And the last one is all channels network. Now, in all channels network, you have a group of people actively communicating with each other. It is the most decentralized type of formal communication network. Coming to the next type of communication network, it is the informal communication network. Keith Davis, an important writer, he has highlighted the phenomenon of grapevine in an organization. Grapevine here, already I have mentioned, it is the informal contacts or the informal relationships within the organization. Now, in this, the first thing he mentions is the single strand network. Now, under this, the information passes from one to one, that is, one member communicates to another member, who in turn communicates to another, and so on. So this is direct one-to-one communication. The second type of informal communication network is the gossip network. Now, under this network, a member having information passes on to everyone he meets. So this is gossip network. The third one is probability network. Here, information passes according to the law of probability. That is, one member communicates with others who in turn communicate with some other persons. The last one is the cluster network, and in the cluster network you have the information passes selectively. That is, the member will give information to only those persons whom he trusts. So that is why it is called as the cluster network. The networking is deliberately cultivating contact amongst individuals in the organization. Networking can also be between one organization and other organizations. So it can take many forms. Networking can take many forms. For example, establishing contacts with people in formal structures, or it can be establishing contacts with people in social gatherings. So that form of networking can also be there. Then in the same category of forms of networking, we have the relationship building behavior. The relationship building behavior, it is generally within organizations such as service clubs or religious groups, wherein the members are bound together by way of rituals, or there may be some fellowship or some creative systems wherein there is a reciprocal preference for professional opportunities. The next one you have is relationship building at social occasions. Now, social occasions may be luncheons, it may be dinner parties, or it may be, whenever people are meeting. It can be a golf match, it can be a cricket match. Whenever they are meeting, they are interacting with each other, and this is mainly leading to professional payoffs. So, we have the relationship building type of communication also. The last one under this category would be loose coalition of organization representatives who meet who frequently meet with each other. They exchange information, they work towards unofficial and sometimes official cooperation also. So this is with regard to the forms of networking.